Hello, First Presbyterian Church, Streetbuyer. And if you missed our congregational meeting last week, you missed our Sacramental flow reveal. So I wanted to give you a little sneak peek at it and help you understand what it is that you're looking at. This is now up in our children's area right behind the check-in kiosk. So take a look at it Sunday, and I'll walk you through it today. Since many families in our congregation come from a variety of different church backgrounds and Christian traditions, there are often questions about how and when children should participate in baptism and the sacrament of the Lord's Supper. So we've created this graphic as a way to represent the historical Presbyterian view on baptism and the Lord's Supper, and how different Christian traditions are invited to join that flow. Now you might be asking yourself, I'm not a parent of a child or a youth, so why does this apply to me? Why am I watching this video? Well, it's because congregational participation is vital to the developing faith of our children and our youth. When we baptize a new child in our congregation, like we did with Elias this week even, we make these vows. When we're asked, do you, the members of this congregation, acting for yourselves and on behalf of the whole body of Christ, assume responsibility with these parents for the spiritual nurture of this child, we say we do. And as a cross-generational church, this is really important because it's a stated value. And we want to continue to participate in each other's lives and support parents and children on this journey. So we hope that this sacramental roadmap will not only be a tool for parents, but also help our whole congregation to be going in the same direction. As you can see, there's a river with some tributaries pouring into it. The central river is the historical view of sacraments in the Presbyterian Church. On this river, you'll see that a child's born, and shortly after, they're baptized. On the back of the brochures at the welcome signs, there's an explanation of baptism. We don't believe that the waters of baptism save anyone on their own, but they are the means by which God washes us when they are met with the faith that God provides, and that we encourage in one another. Now this part here is a multifaceted commitment that we are all part of, the family discipleship. It's the process of nurturing the faith that we trust God to provide in our children. It's a partnership between parents and the church. The church provides the vision and the direction of this discipleship by teaching quality curriculum with a well-thought-out multi-year plan to ensure that we lay a solid foundation over the course of their childhood. Behind the scenes, the CE committee and I have been working on a scope and sequence for the past 2 years, and we are currently piloting through that first year. The church also provides direction by using Sunday school teachers and small group leaders that have specific expertise and experience, and by training and developing new leaders and teachers with the same potential. This is an area that we will continue to grow in as we are able to incorporate more and better training before the start of CE classes each fall. And the church provides vision and direction by equipping parents to bring this discipleship home. Tools like parent meetings, the Parents Corner blog on our website, handouts from Sunday school, catechism questions, and the things that kids are covering in Sunday school. Meanwhile, parents' part in this partnership is to provide the day-to-day implementation of that discipleship by using these tools to continue the conversations at home. This looks like modeling spiritual disciplines at home, practicing memory verses from Sunday school, family gathering, or youth group, discussing the Sunday school or worship service passages over lunch, daily family prayer, and much more. When kids are getting the same message at home as they are at church, they have a much better chance of being able to understand and articulate God's redemptive story and allow it to permeate and transform their whole lives. As they say, it takes a village. In Soul Searching, Christian Smith says that statistically, students need 2 or more relationships with adults who are not their parents to stay involved in church after graduation. The more meaningful relationships teens have with caring adults within the church, the better able they are to find their identity as members of the body of Christ when they become adults. And that's where the rest of the congregation comes in. You're already doing this in many ways by teaching Sunday school classes and serving as nursery volunteers, by having conversation with kids after service and engaging them in their interests. And these are wonderful things. And we can continue these efforts by attending their special events like soccer games, dance competitions, choir concerts, plays, so much more. This takes personal engagement with students and children to know about these interests, but often that leads to opportunities for spiritual discussion and mentor-type relationships, which is well worth it. The CE committee is also currently working on creative ways to make these opportunities more available to the congregation for this organic yet intentional cross-generational relationship building. Next, you'll see the foundations class. This is similar to a confirmation class, but rather than creating often unintentional pressure at the end of the class to make a profession of faith, this class aims at providing a foundation for faith that will be valuable whether it's taken before or after a profession of faith. The benefit of this approach is that it allows students to progress towards a profession of faith at their own pace. This year, the class is being offered for our 7th through 12th graders. Next year, we'll bump it down to the 5th through 7th graders so that our current 6th graders won't miss out. And after that, we'll continue to offer it for 5th and 6th grade every other year. After that, you'll see this profession of faith marker. One thing to point out is that this can really happen anywhere along this river. It's not stuck in one place, but the limitations of printed materials mean that we have to put it somewhere. Kids as young as 4 or 5 are able to make professions of faith and be received as full members. Others may need more time to grow into that decision, and still others may not make it until later in their lives. We trust that God will call believers to himself on his own time and be faithful to discipling them where they are. And last, but certainly not least, is the Lord's Supper. Once a child has made a profession of faith, they are invited to the table as full members of the church, and we want to celebrate that first communion with a special recognition. So as children make those professions of faith to their parents, Sunday school teachers, youth leaders, camp directors, whatever it is, we want you to let our pastoral staff and elders know. It's kind of a big deal. No, it's really a big deal. So that's the main river, but what about these tributaries that are pouring into it? Those are the on-ramps to this historical Presbyterian view of the sacraments. As I said in the beginning, families in our church come from a variety of backgrounds where maybe infants weren't baptized. So you'll notice at the bottom, families with young children joining the church. If a family joins our church with particularly young children who haven't been baptized in another church, Pastor Jonathan can baptize these children under the faith of their parents, and they will join the flow just like everyone else with family discipleship, foundations class, hopefully making a profession of faith at some point and joining the Lord's Supper. This isn't to say that the faith of the parents save the child, but God welcomes the children of believing parents into the covenant in order that they may think of themselves as belonging to God while their faith in him develops. The caveat here is that we want to do this when it's not detrimental to the child's budding faith. If baptism would be damaging or unwanted by the child, then we look to the other tributary. When a family joins the church with older children who have not received the sacraments of baptism or the Lord's Supper, then they can wait until the child has made a profession of faith. Once the child does, their process is more consolidated. They can be baptized at the earliest convenience, and then be invited to the table for the Lord's Supper the next time that it's offered after their baptism. And we will celebrate this first communion with a special recognition. At some point, they will also have the foundations class, and if they've missed it, we can always catch them up with a special meeting with the pastoral staff. Of course, all of this is nuanced. Every family is different. They're going to progress through this journey slightly differently. Professions of faith may happen before or after foundations class. Baptism might happen before or after foundations class. You might have older and younger kids, and you're trying to figure this out. In all of these cases, we would invite you to come and have a conversation with Pastor Jonathan or myself to figure out what's best for your family. We also have these brochures at both of the welcome signs, and this is a nice little way to take this home with you, or give it to visitors or new members, so that everyone can see what the sacramental flow is all about.